The Lady of Rage reigned as the queen of death row records in the late 90s, as she rocked rough and stuff with her Afro puffs. Rage! Her feminine presence was celebrated in the industry. With a powerful voice, impressive lyrical prowess, and her signature hairstyle, we really thought Rage would be a permanent fixture in the music world. But after releasing one studio album, she struggled to reclaim her spot at the top of the charts, which made her wonder if she was the victim of a chauvinistic industry. Before we get started, don't forget to grab something to eat at rrgsnacks.com, our online concession stand that has an assortment of brisket beef jerky, bacon jerky, and strawberry cheesecake popcorn. Growing up in Farmville, Virginia, Robin Yvette Allen got serious about writing rhymes when she was in the 6th grade. During her senior year of high school, she and her best friend were joking around and play fighting when he called her the Lady of Rage. She told Rap Talk website she loved the name so much she adopted it as her moniker and tagged it on the wall of the girls' restroom. And the Lady of Rage was officially born. After high school, she moved around from Texas to Arkansas to New York in pursuit of landing a record deal. After linking up with hip-hop production team LA Posse, she recorded some music with them, and they shared one of the tracks with Dr. Dre. Rage told WCNN that Dre told her about the new label he was co-founding alongside Suge Knight, the DOC, and Dick Griffey called Death Row Records.
Yeah, he called me. He was like, yeah, this is Dr. Dre. I heard you on LA Posse's album. I'm getting a new record label together. I wanted to know if you wanted to come to Cali and be down on it. So I was like, well, how do I know you're Dr. Dre? And he's like, it's only one way to find out. And he sent me a ticket.
The next thing she knew, she was in Los Angeles working on a label that would soon hold the biggest influence on gangster rap. But she didn't get to work right away. She told Rap Talk website she got a job as a security guard at the Hollywood Palladium to make ends meet. Dre produced multiple songs for the soundtrack of the 1992 film Deep Cover. 2 songs that made the album featured a new up-and-coming artist known as Snoop Doggy Dogg. A 3rd song entitled It's On featured Snoop and Rage, but Rage told Vibe magazine that the song didn't make the final cut, although she's still unsure why. Rage was still an important piece of Death Row's plan to dominate the industry. Dre was going to release his first solo album since his departure from NWA, entitled The Chronic. Then, Rage was going to follow behind him with her debut album called Eargasm, which Dre was in charge of producing. Rage quit her job at the Palladium and told Rap Talk website she started hustling on the side, all while soaking up as much information as she could. Dre became her mentor and taught her how to formulate a song and how to have great showmanship to stand out on stage. Death Row acquired a 5-year, multi-million-dollar distribution deal with Interscope Records. The LA Times estimated Dre also received $1 million per year to cover overhead and recording costs associated with albums released on the label. That meant Rage was able to stop hustling and put all of her attention on making music. Dre's debut solo album, The Chronic, dropped in December 1992 and was certified 3 times platinum. Although Rage was featured on the album, everyone's attention was focused on another featured artist, Snoop. To ride the wave of his newfound popularity, Death Row switched things up and told Rage Snoop's album was gonna be next, and your album is gonna be after his. Snoop's Doggy Style album dropped in November 1993 and was a mega success. It completely changed the rap game, which was great for the label, but not so great for Rage. Even though she was featured on that album as well, her solo project was no longer a top priority. She told WCNN, I don't know if it was a female thing, an ego thing, or what, but it just didn't happen when it should have happened. In 1994, Dre was in charge of assembling a team of artists and producers to create the soundtrack for the film Above the Rim. According to the Washington Post, Dre's main contribution was to fill the soundtrack with lesser-known acts from Death Row Records. The newspaper added that most of the artists deserved to remain in obscurity, except for Rage. Her song Afro Puffs became her first solo mainstream music contribution. It reached number 5 on the Billboard Hot Rap Singles chart. During a meeting at the label's headquarters, Rage said they started strategizing about the next album they should drop, and everyone wanted the label to push the Dogg Pound. Rage was baffled. Why wasn't the label allowing her to capitalize off the popularity of Afro puffs? Rage said she had to yell, "No, my album is coming out next." She told Suge he should have a contest in the Source magazine and allow fans to pick which album they should release next. According to Rap Talk website, Dre was in Rage's corner and pushing for her record to drop, but disagreements with Suge led to other artists getting pushed to the front of the line. In October 1995, she fell even further down the totem pole after Death Row signed Tupac while he was serving a 4.5-year sentence in Rikers Island for an assault charge. Upon signing the contract while still behind bars, Suge orchestrated a payment of $1.4 million for Tupac to be released on bail pending an appeal of his previous conviction. Tupac immediately flew to Los Angeles and became the label's shining star. He also immediately bumped heads with Rage. She told Vlad TV they experienced a lot of friction because Tupac was adamant in his beliefs. He was also riled up about certain people in the industry, and he wanted the entire label to get riled up as well. Rage also said she wasn't interested in the East Coast-West Coast rivalry that Tupac and other Death Row members were involved in. Death Row released the Dogg Pound's 1995 album entitled Dog Food, and Rage was featured on the track Do What I Feel. However, she didn't want to be a featured artist forever. She wanted to have her time to shine. Unfortunately, she was still on the back burner. Tupac's highly anticipated All Eyes on Me album dropped in February 1996, and it has since been certified diamond. When Rage was finally given the green light to release her project, it was at the worst possible time. Tupac lost his life in September 1996 in a Las Vegas drive-by shooting. Suge was locked up on a probation violation, Dre left the label and started Aftermath Entertainment, and Snoop was on his way out the door. Rage told CNN when Dre left, he took the concept and the vision of her Eargasm album with him. So she had to start over from scratch with a new album called Necessary Roughness, which was released in June 1997. Rage told Rap Talk website the label didn't do any type of promotion or marketing. In other words, the album was set up to fail. Rage said she was crushed. With her mentor Dre no longer involved with the label, Rage said she wanted to leave too, but Death Row wouldn't release her from her contract. Other artists reached out and wanted to work with her, but Death Row wouldn't give her permission to work with anyone, especially people the label had issues with. Rage said whatever beef they had was between them all. Don't hold me back, let me do my thing. Dre reached out and asked her to be on his album entitled 2001, but Rage told CNN she was given the runaround every time she visited the studio to get on the track. She said, later on I found out, I don't know how true it is, but I found out that Dre just didn't want to deal with any problems because I was still signed to Death Row. As she waited for her Death Row contract to expire, she got involved in acting and appeared in Next Friday and The Steve Harvey Show. She said she enjoyed those roles, but they weren't the kind of gigs she really wanted because she didn't want to get typecast as a tough big girl. Sometime around 2003, she was finally released from Death Row. By that time, she did some work with Snoop, and Shaquille O'Neal wanted to sign her to a label he was financing, but nothing seemed to pan out. Rage eventually signed on with Snoop's wife, Shantae Brodus, and was managed under her Boss Lady Entertainment Management Company. During a 2007 interview, Rage said they were shopping around a new album called Verbal Abuse in hopes of securing a record deal. She has dropped mixed tapes throughout the years, but as of this video, her second studio album has yet to be released. In 2011, she reunited with Corrupt, Daz, and RBX to form a supergroup called Inmates. They released their first single, Tragical, as well as a mixtape called Stay of Execution. Rage continued acting and performing up until she had a major setback in 2017. In an Instagram post, she wrote that she traveled to that year's Essence Festival, and while inside her hotel, she blacked out and fell face first into the hotel lobby's front desk. She fractured her eye and her nose, had to receive 9 stitches, and spent 6 days recovering in the hospital. Doctors gave her several diagnoses, from pneumonia to lupus to sarcoidosis. As she went through a lengthy recovery process, she received an outpouring of love from her fans and industry friends. According to Rock the Bells website, the official diagnosis was later determined to be idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, and Rage set up a GoFundMe page in hopes of raising $150,000 to cover her medical bills. She has since returned to the stage and continues to perform and appear in various TV shows and films, including 2021's Judas and the Black Messiah. Looking back on her career and the way she was treated while signed to death row, Rage said she doesn't have any ill will towards anyone, not even Suge, because they put her in a position to live out her dream, even though it only lasted for a brief moment. On February 9, 2022, it was announced that Snoop had purchased Death Row Records. It's unclear what his long-term plans are for the label, but we think it's only right that Rage is considered for the label's roster. Don't you agree? Or how cool would it be if they brought her out for the halftime show at this year's Super Bowl? Even if we never receive another studio album from Rage, there's no denying that she played a pivotal role during the heyday of West Coast rap. Today and every day, we honor Rage and other female MCs who can hold their own in a male-dominated industry. Rock on with your bad self.